There is a time and a place where the spiritual war has already been won. Welcome back to another video, you guys. If you're new here, my name is Yasmine from the Door to Value on all social media platforms, and I'm a psychic medium, a channeler, energy intuitive, healing catalyst, all the fancy names, here to raise collective consciousness using healing empowerment tools and channeled messages. Of course, naturally, I'm very fascinated by what is happening and a lot of things that I'm starting to see that I've been talking about over the last few years on Twitter, on Instagram, regarding what most people would consider as conspiracy theories are actually coming true. And so it's kind of interesting to sit back and see that unfold, but also see the parallel between the corruption that is happening on the planet and also the sort of organic nature of divine timing. And I'm hearing right now from my guides, what comes up must come down. So there's two particular spirit guides that are coming through right now. My spirit guide, my closest one, Archangel Sandalphon, Saint Sandalphon, who is Elijah on the planet. I say this in all of my videos, and Archangel Raphael as well. So I am going to be channeling, obviously. So if you're new to channeling, I definitely recommend taking it slow, slowing down the video as you need, and be sure to also consult your own discernment. You know, only take what resonates from these videos, of course, as I always like to say. So what's fascinating is I'm hearing what goes up must come down, and what goes down must come up. So there's a parallel, a mirror imagery. They're showing me the yin and yang symbol right now as well, the yin and yang symbol. So there's a mirroring effect where we have this corrupt energy that is derived from demonic, devil, reptilian, lower vibrational, we'll say 2D, 1D, creation that has an intent to harm humanity. That was their promise, I'm hearing, which they are capable of turning to the light, obviously, and receiving mercy, obviously. Like, this is just how it goes. And obviously the flip side of stepping into the light is that it's better for you, right? It's more sustainable, versus if you're in low vibration, it's not. Okay, kind of I don't know why my guides are making me say that, but it's like a disclosure statement here. A disclaimer statement is what I just heard, you know. So the darkness can turn to the light, obviously, but we also have the mirror effect of sort of the uprootings that the darkness is bringing on the planet through their own greed and selfishness. And we're seeing that mirror effect with God's timing, okay? The Creator's timing. What goes up must come down, and what comes down must go up, meaning that, you know, things that are trying to make Earth, entities, people, however you want to associate that particular group of lower vibrational beings on the earth with a mission to keep humanity in so almost like obsessed with the matrix, like the earth is everlasting, that this is forever, that this is the sort of place that you know, you're going to have everything that you ever want, versus the remembrance that it doesn't work that way, that there's a death date for everyone, and we're already infinite, so we continue to live on anyways. Obviously, we're eternal. There's this mirror image going on, and it's almost like I'm getting the reminder and the remembrance of the Exodus. I was actually going to the gym at 4:30 in the morning one day, and it was about a month and a half ago, and I actually looked down on the floor as I'm entering the elevator to go up to the gym, and I see a piece of paper. And I'm like this anyways, if I see a piece of paper on the ground that has writing and I pass by it, my guides will direct me to go back. I feel this pull to turn around and see what's written or documented on that piece of paper. I don't do this with everything, obviously, but this was an instance where there was a calling for me to go back. Now, when I looked at the piece of paper, I saw that it was folded up. I didn't try to unfold it. I didn't even try to touch it. I just zoomed in and took a photo of it. I'll insert it here. And this was a photo that was basically talking about an excerpt within the Exodus. I think it was chapter 10. So this is a sort of an aspect of, I don't know the direct language around this because I grew up Muslim. I grew up with a particular faith, but it's like the like a verse of Exodus chapter 10, I think is what it was. They were talking about the 10th place and the plagues of Egypt, and that basically God will rain upon those who are causing corruption and fail to believe in the eternal, that they're not of this world. Essentially, that's just the summary, in that there will be several different plagues that will appear on the earth. Now, while I don't necessarily believe we're, you know, in the particular end times, I mean, I think that maybe we could consider it's like almost a quarter of the way there, but I don't particularly feel as though it is quite frank the end times. So obviously no one ever knows, like things can be gone in a snap of a minute, which is humbling to remember that this is what we're in right now, right? To know the piece of information that we have, but to also be humble enough to be open to the new pieces of information that, you know, come into our life. And so when I saw this excerpt about Exodus and I went and did research on it, I was very confused. I was like, what is going on? Like, this is a direct, indirect alignment with what we're seeing happening on the earth. And although I personally don't believe that it's the end times, I have been told by my spirit guides that we're not quite there, but I do know that there are organizations, entities, groups of beings on the earth who are trying to make it seem like it is the end times, because they want people to be frightened. They want people to almost be so frightened that they have no other choice but to rely on a governing body, otherwise known as the governments of the world, to join into a single government. And while, you know, this could potentially work on other planets and could work and will work on Earth one day, where peace on Earth is throughout, there is one government because it's just peace throughout. There's no government, it's just peace. And that is something that also exists on other planets. It's not something that particularly can happen right now on the earth because there's still so much injustice and inequality. And so for these governing bodies to suggest a one world government is actually in a selfish manner. It's in a greed manner. Almost like I'm getting the reminder and the remembrance of The Handmaid's Tale. So if you haven't seen that show before, it's on Hulu. You can get a free trial. Otherwise, watch some clips on YouTube and you'll get the picture. It's also a book as well. It's a book that I think I was assigned in middle school, but the series is so crazy true to almost bits and pieces of what we're already starting to see in society. And while I don't believe that humanity is on that timeline, I do believe that there will be pockets around the world that will experience that timeline. And by the way, when I'm saying I do believe, this is me sharing the visions and the imagery that has been revealed to me over the last 3 years. I have predicted a number of events already that have unfolded, namely related to celebrities in Hollywood and politicians, and the overlap between the corruption of those industries and how they almost all work together in a way. But yeah, if you guys want to follow those up-to-date sort of channelings or predictions, if you will, you can follow me at Door to Value on Twitter. But this is just what's coming through. So when I say I believe, it's not my opinion. It's me expressing what is coming through from the visions the channelings I've been receiving, okay? The psychic messages that have been revealed to me. And so also, of course, I have to reiterate again, just take what resonates. So it's interesting of the overlap here of the mirror image of like, knowing that there's a dark force on the earth, but also remembering that there's a light force. And so while, you know, the lower vibrational beings on this earth, people who have an intention to harm humanity, to harm children because they are the purest version of souls, and that, you know, we will also see the congruence, again, even though it's not the end times, of revelations of things that are just not, almost like natural disaster-esque, if you will. Okay, there's a light, you know, I don't know why my guides are giving me this imagery, but to just kind of send you the sensation and the feeling of what I'm receiving. But they're showing me it's like when someone puts whipped cream on a frappuccino or a coffee, right? They're showing me it's like that. Like God is bringing in the creator, source, divine creator in the higher realms are bringing in this sort of washover of whipped cream to almost like show you how divine timing will have its cherry on top, if you will be the final touch to all of this that's going on. And so while the lower vibrational beings will try to intentionally cause a fake return of Christ, return of Jesus, while, you know, these entities will try to harm humanity by talking about environmentalism and climate change and the world government and almost like for us to rely on them in a way, we're also seeing the source creator, the divine, bringing in this remembrance that they ultimately have the power, and what goes up must come down. And so if there's any sort of corruption at all, it's going to be made very much cleared out by the divine, no matter what these lower vibrational beings are trying to put out. Sorry guys, Cloud wanted to make a little appearance. She's being a little naughty right now, so if you see any edits in the video, that's why. She's still a kitten and she tends to run around and get curious still, so I have to make sure that she's staying as behaved as possible. Cloud, you gonna be good? what we're seeing here is the energy of Exodus. And basically it's these sort of the creator bringing in the light to wash away and top off any of the lower vibrational energy that is trying to keep humanity ingrained in this matrix reality, ingrained in lower vibrational timelines that push us into separation, hatred of each other, division of each other, of lack mindset. And that's the easiest one that they can pull on humanity because people actually believe it. The lack mindset meaning making people believe in, for example, what I mentioned earlier, false environmental timelines, false environmental issues. And I'm here to remind you all that there is plenty to go around. The earth is way more abundant than what it's made out to be, than what it's been taught to us as. There's so much money and resources on the planet. Why wouldn't we have different sort of ways to, change the earth and make it better then, right? And so it's almost like we're also being ushered into a sense of critical thinking at the same time. Like, you have to think for yourself now. You can't have these other governing bodies think for you, even if they're experts, it doesn't matter. You're also an expert. Otherwise, why the heck are you alive? You're alive on the earth because, yeah, you might not have gotten a PhD in environmentalism or a PhD in global politics, but you still have intuition. You still have your gut feeling that was told to us when we were younger to trust. And so you also have a brain. And so you're also being guided to think for yourself. These governing bodies that are trying to push us all into a corner to make us believe that there is not enough, that time is running out, that we must bind together, and so that way they can create a one world government that limits us, that oversees us, like Big Brother is what I'm hearing. I'm not sure what that's from, but I know that that's in relation to like an oversight, like surveillance, because I am seeing a timeline that they're really trying hard to push. I mean, they've even hired a number of physicists over the last few years to work on a machine called CERN that actually studies quantum physics and goes and can kind of change the way that time plays out. And so it's not something that we can really conceptually understand because we can't really see it with our very eyes, but time is obviously an illusion outside of Earth. It doesn't really equate in the same sense. And so these people, I don't even know how they have the capacity to do this, but yet we still don't have cures for cancer, but yet they're able to try to change timelines for humanity through this quantum physics machine that has been spent with billions of dollars by our Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI and the CIA. And so it's just crazy. And you can read about all this stuff. It isn't a conspiracy. This is public knowledge. There's a ton of news sources that many of you might still rely on, like New York Post, that talks about these things. But it's also, I want to have you keep in mind not to necessarily always believe like the New York Post and always believe these news channels. This is an encouragement to start to think for yourself. The light is destined to win. There's a time and place where destiny is always going to override it. And I think the lower vibrational beings are a little bit behind in the sense that they think that they have a hand over fate and destiny, over the clock for humanity, over Earth, but it really doesn't work that way. Like the all-encompassing omnipotence of creation sees the benefit of two sides of a coin for lessons and for teaching us, but for us to experience loss and pain so that we understand what it's like to have the gain and to have the blessings, right? For us to learn and evolve in a way. But it's also the knowing that this omnipotence energy, divine source creator, has a hand over humanity in the sense that nothing can disrupt it. No amount of technology, no amount of evil, no amount of hatred, no amount of challenge. And it's, people might say it's easier said than done because evil has been existing here for so long, and I do understand that, but at the same time we have to be aware of what's happening, and the light is always going to be destined to win, meaning that the light will always supersede. The dark does not exist without the light. The dark only popped up because it had to teach us lessons. Thank you for the lessons, but it's not meant to survive and to last in this earth reality, in the matrix reality. It's just not. And the timelines that it has in place is not going to be the type of timelines that are going to actually fully manifest. There I can see remnants as pixels of these timelines of the result of humanity succumbing to the repetitive headlines of lack, of fear, division, but those are pixelated timelines. They're not ever going to be solidified. This was the channeled message, 22 minutes on the clock here. If you'd like to book a reading with me, you can do so in my link in bio on my calendar. You can only book through through my calendar suite. I will never DM you for a reading, and I will never email you. Sending you all so much love and light, and until next time, go and grow.